I thought it was just a mindset question. I had no idea it was actually ADHD. 4 days after my 31st birthday, I got diagnosed with severe ADHD, not just mild, severe ADHD. And it's been honestly the biggest sigh of relief ever. Everything in my life finally makes sense. I've always had addiction issues, like major addiction issues, alcohol, drugs. I went to rehab when I was 20. I was sober. I relapsed. Now I'm sober again. And this theme of just addictions and escapism and chasing dopamine was always a theme in my life, but I thought I was just born that way. I thought it was just like, fine, I have an addict mind, just have to deal with it. And as some of you know, I've been on a super deep path of like personal development, spiritual development, plant medicine, all of that, really like attempting to heal my brain. And I took the Tony Robbins lens in not identifying with labels. This new identity involved not being an addict, not being an alcoholic. And it was going well until this year, everything sort of just came crashing down. I met my partner this year, and he's someone who is extremely grounded, extremely like in the 3D. And I realized that I had been in La La Land for a little too long. Ever since I did all the extreme plant medicine in Colombia, it's been really difficult for me to ground. And so meeting him has been like just an anchor. I need to really get my shit with my money, with my taxes, with when I first got sober at 20 and when my dad died and everything. But this year was just different. And my friends, my mom, they were telling me it's the relationship, it's this guy, he's changing you. And I was trying to explain to them he's helping me ground into the fucking onto earth. But they couldn't understand that. And there was always something in my gut that told me, don't break up with this guy. Things got a bit tough in a relationship, I would just leave. But this one really feels like a karmic connection, which is a whole other story. But I thought I was just lazy, inconsistent, and emotional. I thought I needed more I kept on looping, saying that I felt like I was in a burnout, but like a life burnout. I kept on telling him that. I was like, I really feel like I'm burning out of life. My hormones and my cycles, they're completely out of control. I have really bad PMDD, which is PMS on steroids, basically. And I'm actually in that phase right now. PMDD has been like absolutely debilitating. And I figured, okay, I need to go get that fixed. And that was all this talk about narcissism that came up, because it's almost been 4 years since I've separated from my narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopathic ex. And honestly, reality is he's actually autistic, and there's a big difference, but there's a lot of overlap between autism and narcissism because both lack empathy and compassion, but they come from different spaces. But that's another topic as well. And came to the conclusion myself that I was like a covert narcissist. That's just my issue. And so I reached out to this therapist here who specialized in narcissism and trauma and all of that, and I was like, I need you to diagnose me with narcissism because I just need to understand what is wrong with me. And I told her the whole story, and well, not the whole story, but like the big lines of my life and all the trauma and the complex trauma that I have and that relationship with him and everything. And she was like, have you ever gotten tested for ADHD? And I was like, what is the link? How can that even be connected? I've joked about having ADHD before. I thought I was just lazy, inconsistent, and emotional. I thought I thought I was just lazy, inconsistent, and emotional. I thought I needed more discipline. Having a parent or a friend that's a narcissist, where you've been exposed to prolonged trauma and abuse from a narcissist, you develop narcissistic traits as a coping and survival mechanism. And I was like, this is literally a theory that I was talking about a year ago, trying to talk to like therapists about. I was like, guys, I think I'm onto something. I really think that I've developed traits of narcissism as a way to just survive all of that. And they were just kind of laughing it off. And I'm referring to two therapists that have been my therapists for a few years. And I'm not a narcissist. I'm fucking empath, which I've known from the start, which is also just like debilitating because I'm just tired of knowing what people feel and the whole people pleaser aspect, which is once again another story and another video for another time. But and this is my ADHD kicking in because I have no idea what was the purpose of this video. Originally, I think it was just an intro video. But what I basically learned around ADHD, the biggest life-changing thing has been that ADHD is like a neurological disorder, all related to dopamine. It's literally like a dopamine imbalance. Now, I know that there's many new studies and everything, which I've just gone down the rabbit hole of ADHD. Be kind. The brain not being able to produce the right dopamine like a normal neurotypical person. And when I learned that, I was like, holy shit. Because when I put down the drugs and the alcohol, I was traveling, I was, turned to relationships, I turned to anything that gave me do thrilling things. I'm like on a high. When I listen even to like good music, I'm like literally get high. And obviously plant medicine and stuff like that just... But once I started learning that ADHD is just a dopamine deficiency, ADHD is more than just a dopamine deficiency, and that there are actually ways to heal it. Now, I haven't yet gone into the full how to, but I am on that journey. I was like, wow, maybe first of all, I don't have to take medication, and maybe one day I'm not going to feel like this. I love my ADHD brain in the sense that I am so hyper productive. I'm so creative. I can get like a million things done in a day. I love that side. Anxiety, it's the depression, it's the emotional dysregulation, it's the dysfunction, it's the mood swings, analysis paralysis, rejection sensitive dysphoria. This has been a life changer about ADHD. And hyper and fidgeting, but it's so much more than that. There's so many like comorbidities related to ADHD, and the biggest thing is that ADHD in women in their 30s, that's also a whole other topic. I thought I was just lazy, because just knowing that we're not alone out there, and there are other people that are going through. I really wish for you that you see that getting a diagnosis can be a really big sigh of relief. Doesn't mean you have to take the medication or go for the therapy, but at least it might make sense in your life. And I'm talking about a real diagnosis with a real human being, not ChatGPT or like some coach online. Subscribe, and thank you for being here.